Okay, relationships. So we've been talking about this a bit, but this is an evolving concept that we've been working on since we've been together. And so what we're doing with this is an evolving concept, and we're going to put ideas out around it. But what we've decided is we've done some things which we've called slingshots. And basically we've just been vulnerable and shared with people what's going on in our relationship and what does holding this concept of what we call a relatingship, what it's done for us, and how we can see how it's been useful, how we've learned from it, what we're getting out of it, these kind of things. What we've decided to do with these slingshots is we're going to put them behind a wall, basically probably the Patreon page, as of this time we're not monetizing that, but this is a place because we figure we're getting more intimate and more vulnerable, and taking these kind of conversations out of context and just throwing them into the wild YouTube is not really beneficial. So, and if people are really interested in this and want to be part of it and want to be part of it, then a couple of clicks to get into the Patreon shouldn't be a problem. But anyway, this is an update and kind of where it's evolved to, what we've seen, what we've come to, and it's been a lot. So hopefully we'll keep this as short as we possibly can, but we're just so excited to share so many things that have developed from holding on to this concept of relationship, which is basically comes from getting away from the already predefined relationship status. So we're going to talk about how we got into this, talk about some things that have been awakening to us over, in these last few weeks since we've done one of these, and hopefully we'll have a timestamp to kind of talk about the different concepts. This is Chelsea, if you didn't know, and I'm James, and we're slingshotting to you. And I wanted to start by sharing something that is a concept that is sometimes is just good to be refreshed in, and that was that we shared this with somebody the other day, or shared not just relationships, but the uniqueness of the situation that Chelsea and I found ourselves in. And what I realized was they were like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you guys are doing that. Like, that's a big deal." And I was like, it is a big deal. But when you're in it, you don't think of it as this big deal, and after a while it just becomes your norm. And that is that, so our story is that we met about 2 years ago, about 2 years ago.
Next month, 2 years.
And then we ended up doing a trip together, which it wasn't romantic, but we just seemed to get along. And we both were in these kind of weird places in our lives. We're super independent. I can't speak for Chelsea, but for me, I was kind of at the end of trying to make relationships work. And I had tried so many different ways, and things just fell apart in the most bizarre ways, and I just got tired of it. And so we just weirdly started on this journey by, my situation was coming to an end in Colorado, where my daughter was taken off for school. I didn't know what I was going to be doing after she left. So my idea was to live on the road and see what that was going to be. And it ended up turning into Chelsea coming and visiting me in Colorado, and then it just turned into, weirdly, instead of me looking for what I was going to be living in, Chelsea was looking for it, and we were looking for it. And we went out we left Colorado after she helped me with a rental property, and then getting my house in order and moving out. And then we moved on the road, and we lived spending almost all of our time together in a 25-foot travel trailer. And we had some adventures down in Mexico and Arizona, New Mexico, and then we ended up upgrading our living situation, but we still were putting together this relationship that was way different, because we didn't go into it like, we went into it as individuals. Mm-hmm. And we were so...
Without roles being defined.
Without roles being defined, and then really, really trying to stay away from relationship patterns or things that were already cemented. And we didn't know how to articulate this, so relationships became a term that we figured out you just have to make terms, because... even open, like if we said we were in an open relationship, it wouldn't have defined what our relationship was about. So even open, which you would think would be the most open and not generalized, it was like, let's just play and see what happens. And it's turned into us still spending a lot of time together in our home. And we continue to do this relatingship. We've gone more deeper to, we both really, or at least I can speak for myself, that we're partners now. Like, there was a time where we didn't define that at all, and now we just had something happen in the relationship that was just like, I just want you as my partner. I just want to focus my attention into this. And what we're finding is, because we've established so much depth with not conforming to some other kind of relationship, that now that we're actually partner or consider each other partners, like, we just continue to find nuance and to help each other to grow and become something other than her becoming a woman and me becoming a man. We're human beings, and we're figuring out how we operate and what's the best way to operate. And we're both finding that, love is the thing we're both pursuing. Did you want to say something?
Well, it's exciting, because I think that for the longest time I've always wanted to find someone like James. Didn't realize that it's finding someone who wants to co-create with you. And it's the co-creation of not doing the normal, what the stereotypical roles are or arrangements are. This is breaking out of the old cemented standard go-to patterns. And it's exciting to be able to have another partner to co-create with and actually see how that works. This is how it works. We are co-creating.
And it's kind of funny that what we're doing seems radical, but when we think about it, it's just like we've just said, hey, I'd like to be in a relationship where we pay attention to what's going on, and then we figure out what the heck's going on, and we give each other really good feedback as to, like, what are you experiencing? What are you experiencing? What's your mind telling you? Well, this is what my mind's telling me. And we found that it's just an amazing way to not only relate with each other, but it's helping us relate with ourselves and uncover more of the unconscious that we've been holding on to, that were roles that we were playing. And it's down to just these funny little nuances, and we're both just overjoyed every time that we find another little nugget that poof, it leaves the minute that the awareness that we're holding on to something and didn't even realize we were holding on to it, but we have so many experiences between each other that just bring to light these things. To give you an example, I think it was yesterday.
And just to be clear, that James is referring to things that might be sticky or hurtful or something. Those are the things
the unconscious that we're holding back, that are that are holding us back from experiencing more and more and becoming just like literally conscious, just not in the metaphysical term of it, just like literally I'm conscious of more stuff, like I could see more stuff. And the example I was going to share was that we woke up and we were both in good moods, but our moods did not sync. Like, so there became this friction between us. So these are two happy people, weirdly, being like, okay. And we kind of related it to that. It's kind of like, well, we have this person, Tosh Sultana, and she has two albums, and they have just different feels. And it's like, she just wanted this album, and I wanted this album. And then we had to work together to just, and that's the thing, is the ability to just let go of things instead of like making a mountain out of every molehill.
Right. It's kind of like, I've been, really diving into energy and harmonizing. And it's like he was in harmony, so was I. But he was in harmony in, say, F sharp, and I was, C sharp. It was just different harmonies. And so we were just recognizing we're both in harmony, just different keys. And we can make a big story about that or not.
Yeah, and that's been one of the, just to go back to it, one of the greatest things that we've gotten to this is that we don't hold on to evidence about things about the other. Like, it's about moving to the next thing. And just that aspect is like waking up to fresh bread every day. It's just, it feels wonderful to be like, I can say things and my partner's not going to cling on to those words and use them against me, down the road. Like, we have worked past those kind of things through dialoguing and communication.
And everybody has experienced, something that's come out of their mouth, and lo and behold, you turn a corner and somebody with a spit wad is spitting it at you. And it's like, that's not going to accomplish anything.
So you had some things that you wanted to share today. Did you want to bring something up that?
Well, in the aspect of, just kind of diving really into harmonizing frequencies, looking at doing some, tuning fork type of experimentation. And as I have been wanting to kind of build my muscles in my senses, so this is going into, trying to fortify my muscles in clear sight, clear hearing, clear taste, clear touch. They're all the, what we call the clairs. And as I am developing these, the intuition is part of one of the clairs. The realization more and more of what James has really helped me pull the curtain back on is how much more perception it trumps intention. It's just that much more of a power nugget. And I come from a school of thought that, the universe is all in, the mind is all the it's all there. Well, and then of course intentions is going to be the best thing that's going to be my power nugget. And you can't, the intentions are like, it finally was like, I see how you can have amazing attentions, the most golden, silver-lined and beaming, blooming intentions. And if the perception isn't there, then your reality isn't influenced in any way by any of those intentions. So how we see the world really is much more important than, or not even important, it's just that's where the goal is, not the intentions.
Very good. Yeah, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
And that was a hard one for me to understand, and it's a lot. And I think, a really clear idea of this, and even knowing people, and they're what I consider rageaholics now, the ones that are embroiled in all of these culture war battles and political battles and these kind of things. Underneath it, I've known some of the people that are on the front lines of this, and they are well-intentioned people, and they think that placing their hate in the proper place is the way to get their good intention out to the world. And it's pretty easy to see that in that world, people become extraordinarily myopic, and what is gone when you get that myopic is perception. Like, what are you perceiving? And it doesn't seem that the people that are on the front lines of these battles have much perception, and they don't. If you've ever had to or wanted to just have a regular conversation, it's hard to have a conversation with them because their rage and their hate is so important. They don't realize that's what it is, but that's the thing that's going to come out, and it's like I don't want to have this conversation, especially because then that intention becomes their virtue. Like, they believe themselves to be they're acting in a combative way that is virtuous to them, and how do you get in the way of that and have a conversation with that? And so that was a great one, and it's kind of a weird one. It was, I'm going back to my older version of myself, trying to understand that, because I always felt like I was good intentioned, but then I started to flush up aspects of my codependence and my neediness to certain things, and that was humiliating, and especially because I thought my intention was enough. And the thing is that what was lacking was my ability to find irony in the kerfluffle that was trying to hold on to what I thought were good intentions, and then all of a sudden realizing, oh crap, I'm poisoning the world with what I thought I was blessing the world with.
And I'd like to add that for myself, that, and you may experience this as well, perhaps, I hid behind intentions. I was able to skirt my own lies to others as well as myself through my intentions, because I had made them so much more important that everything else that was kind of slipping into gray areas doesn't matter. The intention was just so much more. That's what I held. I carried the ball of intention across the touchdown line. And it doesn't matter that I went out of bounds and I didn't even get the right end of the field.
So intention, like, if you got it, it's like, so what do you do with it? And so you understand that my intentions, but at that point you're like, wait a minute, if I move forward, I can't trust my intentions. And the way that I would coach myself is to always be looking for the most beautiful perspective. Because people often just go to either letting people be completely themselves, or tough love is kind of the thing. Do I do this? Is it tough love or whatever? It's like, keep going until you find the most beautiful perspective. And this is the biggest reason that I can't have conversations with rageaholics, because they're just looking for me to agree to their abstraction of who to hate, what ideas to hate, and we aren't going to flush underneath to see the beauty, and then to find a bigger and better perspective. And that's what I'm doing. What's what I'm doing with Paradigm B and these slingshots, is to, how do we look at things from the most powerful perspective, not necessarily the intention of what we want to see in the world.
And not getting it confused between a powerful intention and a powerful perception. Because I think that there lies a lot of confusion. At least I had that for a long time. So, and I'm pretty smart.
She's pretty smart, yeah.
So, yep.
You have anything? You got another one to share?
No, I think that was really what I was like, aha! I want to scream from the top of the roof about just having that importance really focused, or in focus for me. That how much perception is where it's at, not intention. Intentions are great, not to say that they're not. It's just perception's where my focus is going now.
Nice. And so, okay, so I was going to move on to another idea, which I just think is great. So we have these little challenges between us, because we figured, like, we have connotation, like, built into our DNA that was given to us by the collective agreements and the conditioning that we had. So we've done things like, we just want to diffuse within ourselves any kind of language that we're still hanging on to a negative connotation of it. Like, it's off limits because somebody decided this word needed to be a hate word. And so we started cussing at each other, and in the most beautiful way. And I found myself just free to say words that used to not be available, and that was just a freedom within me to not necessarily go out and use the words that we use between us in real life, but when I hear those words, I'm not triggered by those words any longer, and that was a big one. But we had this other idea come up that we just started practicing, and it was like, in a relationship, like, anybody can do this. First of all, I see relationship as not something that you have to do in a partnership. You can take this on as a solo mission, because you can just say, hey, I'm going to use feedback from me and the outside world to change me. And so you don't need people to agree to be in a relationship. You can just decide, listen, I'm using relationships as a way to know myself better. And so that was one of the other things. It's like, it's a relationship, but we relate with people in all manners, not just, intimate, but in many other different ways. And so that was one of the things. And then I was thinking of something else that we can do with just our friends. Like, if we wanted to get rid of, like, things that made us uncomfortable, things that held us back, it's like, make an agreement with somebody that's like, if you think that they're your best friend, then use each other to do that. So if you feel uncomfortable about something, it's like, then what one person does is they say, I want you to push on this aspect of me. I'm self-conscious about my body. Okay? But I don't want to be self-conscious about my body. Okay? So that person says, okay, challenge me in that, and I'll give you I can't take any more, or just give it to me full guns. And then how it works on the other person's part is they get to look inside of themselves to see if they're saying something that would be like, hey, fatty, how you doing? Did you how was your breakfast this morning, fatty? Or whatever it would be, to poke at your friend about it. They can check within themselves to see if they really want to beat that other person down, and then to just get rid of that. And if you don't have that, then this exercise is a lot of fun, because then you just get to have fun playing with language you normally wouldn't play with, because somebody's asking you to play a character for them to help them become something different. And we didn't even we just came up with the idea, and then we just started kind of doing it, and the next thing you know, we're like finding these little things, and it was like, oh, that made me so uncomfortable, but I did it anyway. And, I asked for this, and that's normally really, I just found out that makes me uncomfortable. So I'm just doing it with you and pushing through, like cutting teeth, to get through to something new and something bigger and something more beautiful. And we're finding that to be a lot of fun as an exploration within our relationship.
Absolutely. It's like almost trying to find little spots of offense or defense, which is what is the trigger, the little fester point that then is like, I'm offended. I'm feeling defensive over the way that I view something. So these are like the road signs for, oh, here, look here, and it kind of also for me it has been helping me with a more newer thing that we've been tossing back and forth, which is in regards to prejudice. And so when we're looking for these aspects within ourselves that are unconscious, and we know they're there, and so we're finding where I might be offended, I might feel defensive, and then there's also the prejudice. And so these are ways that we can play and find and uncover those things.
And I'm laughing because we're finding these little silly things, and that's the most fun. Is like we're down into the nuance and finding. And I just found one the other day that I think is funny. I enjoy NFL football, and I recognize that I have this hate I have carried this hate for the Dallas Cowboys for so long as I. And then I was noticing that I just was like, I just want to see them lose when they go to the playoffs. And then I thought, what? Why? Why do I want that? Like, what is it? I have a great friend of mine that's a Dallas Cowboys fan, and I'm like, why do I need to... And then I started looking at it that I could barely remember why I thought that way. And even if it's just the obnoxious fans or whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't want to carry those things. It's just a burden that's not necessary. And so I get to smile. I get to say I'm humbled to you, to say that I have this ridiculousness. And it's just a pre-digested idea that I had in me, and I will define it as hate. It was hate. And I have figured out that there is absolutely no reason to carry hate within this world. And so that's what I was thinking, that's the best way to do it. If you're just starting and you want to just go, okay, I don't want to hate the world. I want to love the world, and I want to love in the world. It's like, don't try to love the hardest person outside of you. Like, that's a big elephant. It's like, what can you do? I would say work outward. Go to your little things. What are the little tiny things that you hate? And then don't make a value judgment over what you think hate is. Like, that's the thing. It's like, if you ask somebody, or if they say, oh God, I hate this, it's like what you realize is that they internally have I hate it this much. But no, I only hate it this much. I hate these people this much. I hate this behavior this much. And it's like, you just don't make value judgments around hate. Hate's hate. Don't hate hate, because that's the irony, is that when you begin to hate, you're just perpetuating it. And that's exactly what we do when we're trying to play God in this world, by making a zillion value judgments about everything, and then just saying, I gotta be a good person, because I've got the list of all the bad things, all the things I should hate, and God hates them too. And that's kind of what we're saying when we're saying that. We're building our virtue off of the level of hate that we give certain things. The other alternative is just to not do that. To not make value judgments about hate. Just look at hate is being hate. Okay, that's hate. All right. So
Okay.
if there's hate, that means like there's love just on the other side of that, because hate is just the absence of love. It's kind of like, now I'm aging myself, but back in the day, dentists used to they would stick this dye stuff on, and they'd have you bite down, and then they would look for the cavities in the dye. So that's what hate does, is it shows you where the cavities are. It shows you where the hate is, and if you remove the hate, what's underneath? It's love. That's it. That's just how it works. Cause and effect. And so anyway, I just, ridiculousness and that stuff.
Good stuff. Very good stuff.
Good stuff. I think we're going to call this one for now. So anyway, I hope you guys are all doing great, enjoying your little subjective take on this reality. Bye-bye.
Bye.
For now.